In the town of Oki, policeman Rocha and his faithful companion, Greg, are chasing the bandit known as Petty, the Orange Cat. The two of them speed off in the car and narrowly miss a traffic light and hit a van. Suddenly, Petty emerges from a manhole with his car in fast the shape of a crocodile. As soon as they spot him, the pair chase him all over the city and end up on a huge unfinished bridge. With his jet engines, the cat manages to get over the bridge, but the policeman hesitates. However, he has to fulfill his mission and he speeds the car up, which crosses the bridge, but doesn't reach the other side and starts to fall. Fortunately, Greg has brought a parachute and the two of them land on the roof of a building, but the vehicle catches the edge and starts to fall. At the last second, the pair jump out of the vehicle and it lands right on top of the chief of police's car, which had just arrived. Greg and Rocha are safe, but Petty has come up with an evil plan to get rid of them once and for all. In the building where the pair fell, the villain planted a bomb, with only a minute to spare before it detonated. The policeman tries to deactivate the bomb, even though his boss warns him that there's no one in the building and it's better to get away. After many attempts, Rocha cuts the green wire of the bomb, but it was the wrong wire and it detonates, with both of them being hit by the explosion. The ambulance arrives at the scene and takes the pair urgently to hospital, but the news is not good. Greg's body has been affected by the detonation, as has Rocha's head, and neither of them will survive. However, the nurse has the idea of putting Greg's head on Rocha's body, saving both their lives. After hours of surgery, the doctors create a new hero for the city. The Dogman, a police officer who is a hybrid of a dog and a human being, created to fight crime. Days later, reporter Sarah Hadoff announces that, since the surgery, the Dogman has become a super cop. With Greg's intelligence and Rocha's martial arts skills, he soon became a celebrity, arresting crooks, helping the elderly and even playing charity baseball games. Despite all this fame and recognition, the cop feels lonelier than ever. Because of what happened, the Dogman now only has Greg's conscience and has lost his friend Rocha, his girlfriend has left and even his old house is up for sale. On his way back to the police station, the Dogman goes into the chief's office and, like any good dog, he jumps on the guy and starts licking him. The chief becomes enraged and orders the policeman to go on a mission, as he has just been informed about Petey's escape from jail. The Dogman quickly answers the call and finds the villain in the middle of the city, driving a car shaped like a vacuum cleaner. The policeman is forced to flee, but soon lures the villain towards the beach, with the vacuum cleaner sucking up all the sea water. Petty tries to escape, because cats hate the sea, but he ends up tearing the vacuum cleaner bag with his nails and all the water falls on him. The cat starts to drown, but Dogman pulls him out of the water and takes him to the shore, using a surfboard to ride the waves. Soon afterwards, the policeman takes him back to prison, but it doesn't take long for the cat to escape again and put another evil plan into practice. This time, he drives a truck that throws bones, but the Dogman digs a huge hole in the ground, sinking the vehicle and trapping Petty once again. Despite his best efforts, the next day the mayor goes to the police station to tell him that the Orange Cat has escaped again and blames the policeman for all the escapes. She then orders the Dogman to be taken off the case, which only makes the policeman even more depressed and lonely. When night falls, he walks to his new home, a doghouse isolated from the city, howling with sadness for the life he has lost. Far away, Petty returns to his secret hideout and has to come up with an even more ingenious plan to defeat the Dogman. After some thought, the cat deduces that the only way to defeat him is to create another version of himself. So he buys a cloning machine on an auction site, because two heads are better than one. The next morning, Dogman is still sad about being taken off the case, but his boss offers him another job. The policeman's mission is to take Flippy, the evil genie fish that was eliminated in combat, to the city's science center. The policeman obeys and the fish is delivered to the center and transformed into a cyborg to be studied. However, the experiment is broadcast in the newspapers and reaches Petty, who decides to use it in his evil plan. Hours later, Dogman is taken to the security center, where he has to watch the cameras so that no one tries to steal Flippy. However, when the boss gives him his final instructions, the policeman ends up getting distracted, just as Petty breaks into the lab and steals the fish. Seeing that Flippy has been captured, the Dogman sets off the alarm and runs after the culprit, until he meets reporter Sarah and her cameraman, Roscoe. He enlists their help in capturing the cat, who takes to the skies in his new rocket. Roscoe lends him his drone and the Dogman flies off with it, starting an intense chase through the city. The problem is that the policeman gets distracted by another cat passing by and ends up being thrown by the power lines towards a billboard. The Orange Cat manages to escape to his hiding place and puts in a microchip, containing a program that will make him even more evil. His goal will be to eliminate all the good people in Okai City, but in order to revive the fish, Petty must take him to the factory that produces the spray of life. Before he leaves, the cloning machine is finally delivered by post and Petty wastes no time in activating it. As soon as the process is complete, the villain opens the compartment to see his new clone, but instead finds an orange kitten inside, called Lil Petty. Unfortunately for the orange cat, he didn't read the part of the instruction manual that talked about waiting 18 years for his clone to be identical to the original. What's more, the undo button was bought separately and he'll have to put up with his new kitten until the package arrives. The cat doesn't like this at all and rejects the clone, who starts crying uncontrollably all over the place. Minutes later, Petty finally manages to calm the kitten down and decides to take it along to the Spray of Life factory. However, as soon as they arrive on site, Petty presses one of the buttons on the panel and the rocket takes off. To make matters worse, the fish Flippy is thrown into the factory chimney and gets stuck inside. With no more patience to deal with the kitten, Petty puts him in a box in the middle of the street and leaves with his rocket. Lil Petty is sad to be abandoned by his father and walks off with the box, stopping in the middle of the road to sleep. Just then, the dogman looks for Petty with his binoculars and sees him fleeing in the rocket. The policeman tries to catch him again, but he sees the kitten in the middle of the street, just as a truck is approaching at high speed. The dogman then jumps into the street and, at the last minute, manages to save the kitten. The two soon become friends and the policeman takes him home for the night. Back at the villain's hideout, Petty continues to put his plan into practice until he finds a book of drawings made by Petty. The pictures show the two of them together and, even though the cat throws the book away, he begins to feel guilty for having abandoned the kitten. Meanwhile, as the day dawns, the dogman and Lil Petty have coffee, practice the piano and do various activities together. After so many days of feeling alone, the policeman finally has a friend and, when it's time to go to sleep, he finds a drawing made by the kitten, showing the two of them playing together. Unlike Petty, the dogman is happy with the gesture and hangs the drawing on the fridge door. As for the villain, he has just finished his latest invention, the state-of-the-art robot, 80HD. Shortly afterwards, Butler, his former assistant, shows up to collect her employment rights, as she was fired by the cat without just cause. Petty refuses to pay, so she provokes him by showing him the new photos from the dogman's social network. Alongside Lil Petty, the villain is enraged to see the clone next to his archenemy and sends 80HD to track him down. Within minutes, the robot finds Dogman's house and uses his elastic arm to grab Lil Petty, while the policeman is still asleep. Without understanding what's going on, the kitten is taken back to his hiding place and is happy to see his father again. The cat is annoyed by the kitten's naive and kind manner and advises him that the world is not as happy and cheerful as he thinks. To prove this, the cat tells him about his past, how his own father abandoned him when he was a kitten. When he hears this, Lil Petty tries to comfort him, saying that he will find his missing father, as he must have already regretted his actions. He also asks to sleep next to Petty, who forbids him to enter his room, but the kitten ends up lying in his bed anyway. The night passes and the kitten wakes up, ready to do something to make his father a better person. He then activates the 80HD robot and sends it in search of his grandfather, so that he can apologize for what he did to Petty. Far away, the dogman wakes up and, seeing that the kitten isn't there, the policeman spends the whole night looking for him. The day dawns and, not knowing where else to look, the dogman asks Sarah Roscoe and to help him find the kitten. The three of them drive around the city looking for the kitten, without success, and Sarah decides to do a live broadcast, asking for the public's help in finding it. Petty watches the whole thing on television and doesn't intend to return his clone, until he hears someone ring the doorbell. On the other side of the door, 80HD appears with his father, a grumpy old cat who hasn't changed his ways at all. Petty is furious that the kitten has brought his father, the same cat who rejected him as a child. Lil Petty replies that he knows exactly what that feels like, and even so, he forgives his father for rejecting him and advises him to do the same with his grandfather. The kitten tries to solve this family affair, but another even bigger problem is about to happen in Oki City. The Spray of Life factory has a boiler malfunction, caused by a blockage in one of the chimneys. One of the engineers goes to check what happened and manages to get the cyborg fish out of there, making the boiler work normally. However, the man starts playing with the fish and accidentally throws it into one of the pipes, making a hole that starts spraying all over the factory. Thanks to this, Flippy comes back to life, now controlled by the chip's evil programming, but in addition to him, the entire factory comes to life with the spray. The huge building turns into a colossus with arms and legs, seeking destruction. Flippy soon orders the colossus to obey his orders and then sets off through the streets to eliminate all the good people in town. In the meantime, Petty builds yet another weapon, a squirrel-shaped tank. On seeing the creation, his father ridicules him, saying that the cat should look for a real job. However, Lil Petty defends him, saying he loves his father just the way he is, something that makes Petty think about his actions and the way he treated the kitten. Nevertheless, the cat continues with his evil plan and sets off with the tank towards the city center to confront his archenemy. Finally, he meets Dogman again, who is looking for Petty, but interrupts the search to arrest the villain once more. The cat then begins its attack and fires one of its squirrel-shaped missiles. Fortunately, Sarah pushes the Dogman away and narrowly, but the cat continues to fire at his target, saves him with his agility. The Dogman dodges the shots and reaches the tank, but Petty hides and activates the vehicle's jet propellant. He speeds off towards the same unfinished bridge, but this time the tank crashes on top of the cheese store dummy. The cat tries to escape, but the Dogman is already waiting for him outside the tank and handcuffs him at the first opportunity. Lil Petty sees the whole confrontation on TV and goes to the scene, where he finds his father being arrested by the policeman. The Dogman is happy to see his friend again, but is surprised to discover that he is the son of his archenemy. The policeman is torn between fulfilling his duty or letting the villain go for the sake of the dog, but before he can decide, Flippy appears, along with his giant colossus. Seeing this, the cat is happy that his plan has worked and now it's only a matter of time before the fish wipes out all the good people in town. What Petty didn't expect was that the fish's main target would be Lil Petty, who is taken away by his tractor beam. For the first time in his life, the cat doesn't think only of himself and even asks Dogman for help in saving his son. Even though he suspects the cat, the policeman accepts and the two team up as partners to save the kitten, but they still have to find a way to defeat the Colossus. For a moment, the Dogman is distracted by the letter carrier passing by on the street, but this ends up giving an idea of Petty how to save his dog. Nearby, Flippy reveals his evil plan to use Lil Petty as bait to lure the good people of the city and destroy them all at once. However, Petey's new invention appears before him, the Postman Mecha 2000, a giant robot controlled by the Dogman. The fish is not intimidated and summons his Colossus to attack and a fight between giants begins. Despite the strength of the huge factory, Dogman uses his kung fu skills to dodge the blows and counterattack. He then activates his cannon arm, which fires a blast of mail at his opponent. Even so, the building recovers from the attack, punches the mecha mailman and jumps on him. However, the Dogman strikes back with a spinning attack and throws him away, leaving his rival stunned. Finally, the giant robot grabs the building and, with a suplex attack used in wrestling, he grabs his opponent and falls backwards with him. The fight is finally over and the fish tries to escape, taking with him Petty. With a karate chop, the mecha letter carrier breaks through the tractor beam and frees the dog, with Petty ordering him to return to his hiding place. The situation seems to be resolved, but having defeated the Colossus, the spray of life inside him begins to leak out and other buildings rise up, intent on destroying the city. Even at a disadvantage, Postman Mecha 2000 leaps towards the buildings and, with a spinning kick worthy of Street Fighter, knocks them down one by one. After this, the giant robot prepares for the second round, but he has used too much energy in the blow and his parts start to fall off, including his arm and pants. To help him, Lil Petty returns to his secret hiding place and asks for the help of 80HD, who puts him in his armor and sets off for the battlefield. They need to hurry, because the Postman Mecha 2000 has run out of power and there's no one else who can take on the furious buildings. Sarah, Roscoe and the chief of police rush to help Petty and the Dogman, but they all end up trapped inside the robot. Luckily, the group manages to escape through the mecha letter carrier's vent, but outside, they find the angry buildings preparing to crush them with their feet. Then Lil Petty shows up to save the day, along with 80HD, by transforming himself into Robot Cat. With their thrusters, they advance towards the buildings and manage to break through them with a powerful blow. Thanks to this, the buildings fall to the ground and the giant fight is finally over. Despite this victory, Robot Cat loses control due to the impact and is thrown hard to the ground. The Dogman and his friends rush to help them, but Flippy is still alive and starts using the tractor beam to throw cars at them. Seeing that the villain won't give up, Petty tells them all to run and gets into the 80HD armor so that the fish can capture him instead of his baby. As he expected, Flippy uses the tractor beam to take Robot Cat and decides to throw him into the city's volcano. Dogman and Little Petty don't intend to abandon Petty and set off with the squirrel tank to stop the villain. As soon as they meet Flippy, Lil Petty asks why the fish wants to destroy the town and eliminate all the good people. He tries to think of various explanations, but in the end he confesses that he feels angry at the world for always having been rejected by the other fish. The kitten then tells him that he just needs a friend and gives him the drawing book he made with the help of the Dogman. In it are pictures of the kitten and the fish having fun together, something that makes Flippy very emotional. He cries in regret for his evil deeds, but this also causes his villain powers to disappear. As a result, the tractor beam shatters, releasing Robot Cat into the volcano's lava. The Dogman won't let him fall and, using the tank's cannon, he fires his old tennis ball in Petey's direction. With that precise shot, the cat and the 80 HD robot are pushed out of the lava and fall safe and sound to the ground. The group gathers happily, especially Petey, who hugs his baby like a real father. Seconds later, the chief appears in Sarah's van and, with acrobatic maneuvers, he jumps out of the van and announces Flippy's arrest, trying to impress Sarah. He also sends the Dogman to arrest Petey, but the mayor appears soon after, forgiving the cat for his heroic acts. Everyone then welcomes him as a citizen of Okai City, but Petey replies that he doesn't want to be a good guy and just wants to live in peace, together with Lil Petey. He then calls his kitten, who accompanies his father, but is sad to have to say goodbye to the Dogman. When night comes, Petey and Lil Petey return to their hideout, only to find the place empty, as the cat's father has stolen everything and fled to another town. The only thing he didn't want to take were the drawing books that the kitten had made for him as a present. Petey consoles him, saying that there's no changing some people and that the important thing now is to find somewhere else to live. Before they leave, the letter carrier appears and hands over the undo button from the cloning machine. However, Petey is no longer the selfish cat he used to be and throws the button away, preferring to keep his kitten. Shortly afterwards, the policeman is back at home, sure that his mission has been accomplished, but also sad to have said goodbye to his friend. However, someone knocks on the door and when he opens it, the Dogman finds Petey, who agrees to let Lil Petey visit him whenever he wants. In addition, the two of them give him a new tennis ball, with the name of the Dogman written on it. The policeman is very happy and the three of them decide to enjoy the rest of the day, until the chief of police and Sarah show up, saying that there is still a building on the loose in the city. However, as soon as he appears, the building is actually a nightclub, which turns on the lights and plays music for everyone to enjoy all night long. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.